They are only the 59th set of twins joined at the head to be separated, one part of the longest neurosurgery ever. And while one of the brothers that lives about 60 miles southwest of Chicago appears to be doing very well, the other isn't responding quite as well right now as doctors would like.
Having the anatomically correct number of body parts is regarded as normal, but some people unintentionally defy this normalcy. From having two vaginas being born as a conjoined twin with an extra head, here are the top 10 people with extra body parts. Not only are you about to be shocked by their rare conditions, but you also won't believe what their lifestyle is like. Tyson Smith. Starting with Tyson Smith, the human body is capable of weird things. Tyson had a very unusual medical experience when he had a heart attack and needed to have a medical procedure to help his heart work better. During the procedure, something unexpected happened. Tyson's body started to grow an extra heart. This was a shock to the doctors and nurses who were taking care of him.
Tucked the small donor heart in between the man's right lung and his original heart, giving him essentially two hearts, two different heartbeats. You may all be wondering, how does this work? How could this even happen?
They had never seen anything like it before. Tyson's extra heart was not a fully formed heart, but it was still very hard to believe. The doctors were able to see the extra heart beating on an ultrasound machine. They were amazed by what they saw. Tyson's extra heart was able to pump blood just like his main heart. This was a good thing, because Tyson's main heart was not working very well. The extra heart was able to help take some of the pressure off of the main heart. Tyson's case is very rare and has been studied by doctors and scientists. They are trying to learn more about how his body was able to grow an extra heart. Tyson's experience has also given hope to people who have heart problems. It shows that the human body is capable of amazing things, and that sometimes unexpected things can happen. Tyson's story still continues to inspire and amaze people to this day. If you think Tyson's extra body part is strange, have you heard about George Lippert? George Lippert. George Lippert was a man born in the 1800s with a very rare condition. He had 3 legs, which is very unusual. His third leg was smaller than the other 2 and was attached to his right leg. This extra leg made it hard for him to walk and do things, but he learned to live with it. As he grew up, he became famous for his condition, and people would pay to see him. George Lippert's life in the circus was exciting, but it wasn't always easy. He had to adapt to living with his condition, and it made some things harder for him. Regardless of this, George was known for his positive attitude and his ability to make the best of his situation. He worked with famous circus owners, including P.T. Barnum, and became a star of the circus world. But George's popularity didn't last forever. Another performer with a similar condition joined the circus, and George's popularity started to decline. He eventually died of tuberculosis at the age of 62. Manar Maed. Manar Maed was born as a conjoined twin. In Manar's case, the conjoined twin was an extra head that was attached to their body. This extra head was not fully formed and did not have its own brain or organs. Manar's condition was caused by a genetic mutation that occurred during their mother's pregnancy. Manar's extra head caused them a lot of problems. It made it hard for them to move around and perform daily tasks. Manar also had to undergo several surgeries to try and separate the extra head from their body. These surgeries were complicated and risky, but they were necessary to improve Manar's quality of life.
Over the last 12 hours, Manar is stable on the ventilator. She is on minimal parameter, ventilatory support. We removed the muscle relaxant and she started to move her limbs.
Manar was determined to live a normal life, so he and his conjoined twin learned to adapt to their condition and find ways to overcome the obstacles it presented. The next person on our list is equally mind-blowing: Edward Mordrake. Edward Mordrake was reportedly born in the 19th century, although the exact date and place of his birth are unknown. He was said to have been a member of a wealthy and influential family in England. Mordrake was described as having an extra face on the back of his head, which was said to be a fully formed, smaller face. According to accounts, the extra face was said to be capable of expressing emotions independently of Mordrake's primary face. It was also reported to be able to smile, frown, and even speak, although the voice was said to be barely audible. Mordrake's condition allegedly had a terrible impact on his mental health and well-being. He was said to have been driven to madness by the constant presence of the extra face, which he believed to be a malevolent entity that was slowly taking over his mind and body. The circumstances of Mordrake's death are very mysterious. Some accounts suggest that he was found dead at the age of 23, with the extra face still attached to the back of his head. Others claim that he was institutionalized and eventually died in an asylum. Even with the widespread interest in Mordrake's case, there is ongoing debate about the authenticity of the accounts. Some experts believe that the story of Edward Mordrake is entirely fabricated, while others argue that it may be based on a real individual with a rare medical condition. Double D Dude. Double D Dude is a Reddit user who was born with diphalia. This means that he has two penises. This condition is very unusual, and it happens in only a few people out of every million.
How does this impact your? I know that you've had a number of partners. I think you said around 1,000. So does it impacts it positively, I would say?
And why?
When Double D Dude was born, doctors were surprised to see that he had two penises. They had to do some tests to make sure that everything was working properly. As Double D Dude grew up, he had to deal with some challenges. He had to deal with some teasing and bullying from other people. He also had to learn how to take care of his body and figure out how to use both penises in romantic relationships with women. But now, Double D Dude lives a normal life and seems to be very happy about his condition. He has been open about his condition and often answers questions on Reddit about it. He wants to help other people understand that having a rare condition doesn't mean that you're not normal. Double D Dude's story has been shared on other social media, and it has sparked a lot of interest and discussion. Some people have been curious and have asked him questions, while others have been more negative and have made fun of him. But Double D Dude has taken it all in stride. He knows that he's not like everyone else, and he's okay with that. He's proud of who he is, and he wants to help others feel proud of themselves too. Deepak Pwan. Deepak Pwan is a man from India who had a parasitic twin conjoined to his body, which means that he had an extra limb attached to him. This extra limb was not fully formed, but it was still a part of Deepak's body. The parasitic twin was not fully developed and did not have its own organs or brain. Deepak's condition was caused by a genetic mutation that occurred during his mother's pregnancy. Deepak's extra limb caused him a lot of problems. It made it hard for him to walk and move around, and it also caused him a lot of pain. Despite these challenges, Deepak was determined to live a normal life. He underwent several surgeries to try and remove the extra limb, but these surgeries were not successful. Eventually, Deepak learned to adapt to his condition and find ways to live with it. He even learned to use his extra limb to his advantage, using it to help him with certain tasks. Hazel Jones. Hazel Jones is mostly known for her rare condition called uterus didelphys. This means that she has two vaginas, two cervixes, and two uteruses.
Medical condition which is thought to affect around 1 in 3,000 women. It means that she has two vaginas.
This condition happens when the tissue that forms the reproductive organs doesn't come together properly during fetal development. Hazel's condition was discovered when she was a teenager, and she had to undergo surgery to correct some of the problems it was causing. Hazel's condition made it difficult for her to have normal periods and relationships. She had to deal with heavy bleeding and pain during her periods, and she had trouble getting pregnant. But like Double D Dude, Hazel has also been very open about her condition. She wants to help other women who may be dealing with similar issues, and she wants to raise awareness about uterus didelphys and other rare reproductive conditions. Alfie Clamp. Alfie Clamp was born with a very rare genetic condition. When he was born, doctors did some tests and found out that he had an extra strand of DNA in his 7th chromosome. This is a very unusual thing, and doctors were surprised to see it. Chromosomes are like the instructions for our bodies, and having an extra strand of DNA can affect how those instructions are read. Alfie's condition is so rare that doctors had never seen it before. They didn't know what to expect or how it would affect Alfie's life. As Alfie grew up, he had some health problems. He had trouble breathing and had to go to the hospital many times. Doctors were trying to figure out how to help him, but it was an issue. Alfie's parents were very worried about him, but they were also very loving and supportive. Although his life was mostly difficult, Alfie's story has given hope to many people. Doctors are still learning about his condition and how to treat it. Alfie's case is helping them to understand more about genetics and how our bodies work. Antonio Alfonseca. Antonio Alfonseca is a former professional baseball player who was born with a rare condition called polydactyly. This means that he had extra fingers and toes. Antonio was born with an extra finger on each hand and an extra toe on each foot. This condition is relatively rare, occurring in only about 1 in every 500 births. Antonio's extra fingers and toes did not cause him any major problems, and he learned to adapt to them from a young age. Despite having extra fingers and toes, Antonio was able to live a relatively normal life. He was even able to pursue his dream of becoming a professional baseball player. Antonio played in the major leagues for several years, pitching for teams such as the Florida Marlins and the Texas Rangers. His extra fingers and toes did not seem to hinder his ability to play baseball, and he was even able to use them to his advantage in some cases. For example, he claimed that his extra fingers helped him to grip the baseball better, which allowed him to throw more effectively. Hannah Kersey. This woman from Northam, Devon, made headlines in 2006 for giving birth to a rare combination of twins and a singleton. She had a condition called uterus didelphys, where she was born with 2 separate uteruses. On January 27, 2006, Kersey gave birth to identical twin girls, Grace and Emily, from one womb, and a singleton, Hannah's 3rd child, from the other womb. The twins were conceived from a single fertilized egg that implanted in one womb and then divided, while the singleton was conceived from a separate egg that implanted in the other womb. This rare occurrence is known as heteropaternal superfecundation, where a woman releases multiple eggs at different times, which are then fertilized by sperm from the same or different men. In Kersey's case, the twins and the singleton had the same father. We are more than machines made to produce. We are beings made to connect, to create, and to rest. Genuine life is waiting for us when we choose to pause, to reflect, and to cultivate the inner resources we all possess. Like the land that surprised us with its abundance in the past, there is a rich, fertile potential within each of us that is just waiting to be unlocked. But to tap into that, we need to break free from the mindset of scarcity, not just in terms of food, but in terms of our spirit. We live as though there's not enough time, not enough joy, not enough meaning in the world. We just need to look in the right places. Rabbi Friedman's message reminds us that life is more than the grind. We cannot keep settling for a life that is all about getting through the week, ticking off boxes, and then starting again. There is more. A life where we barely scratch the surface of our potential. There is a depth to this world, and to ourselves, that we have not yet fully accessed. But it requires that we live intentionally, that we remember the importance of rest and renewal, and that we trust in the greater abundance that is possible, both in the world around us and in the life we live every day.
So what happens when a person dies? What actually died? Not the soul. It can't die. The soul was always alive.
Rabbi Manar Friedman speaks with a conviction that can shake the core of how we perceive life and death. He sees the way we have constructed our societies, workplaces, schools, the military, all tied up in structures of fear and pressure. We are pushed to believe that life is hard, success is elusive, and that eventually, we all die. It's a thought many of us carry without question. We are born, we live, and then we die. But as Rabbi Friedman argues, this way of thinking is deeply flawed. It is not only pessimistic, but also fundamentally wrong. Life is not temporary, and death is external. That is wrong. This idea is not just a philosophical argument, it's a complete shift in perspective. He urges us to stop seeing life as a brief flicker that will inevitably be snuffed out by death. Instead, he calls on us to realize that life is eternal, and that death is not the ultimate reality. We have been conditioned to think of life as a countdown, where the end is always looming, but this outlook is a misunderstanding of what life truly is. We cannot be born to just die, he stated, turning the whole narrative on its head. In Rabbi Friedman's view, we have misunderstood the nature of death and its place in our lives.
I think that death and dying is really important because we're all going to die anyway. The more we try to ignore, we try to stop the fear of death and dying.
He speaks of a time coming soon when people will no longer die. The souls of those who have passed away, he suggests, are not gone forever, but are simply resting, waiting for the time when they will come back. This isn't just a hopeful notion, it's a radical rethinking of the human experience. It's the belief that life continues in ways we have yet to fully understand, and that the idea of death as a final destination is a misconception. He said a time is coming when humans will stop dying. He's seeing a bigger world. The best is yet to come, and we've not even started. His aligns it with biblical promises of reward. The Bible says God will reward those who are worthy, but how do we define who is worthy? Rabbi asked and shared, is it the soul that should receive the reward? Or is it the body? Isn't it the body that labors day in and day out, making the world a better place? Isn't it the body that serves bread to the poor, that cares for the sick, that embraces the lonely? Isn't it the body that wakes up each morning and takes on the challenges of the day? When we think about acts of kindness, love, and compassion, most of them are carried out through our bodies. It's the body that feeds a hungry child, with hands that reach out to offer food and comfort. It's the body that wipes away the tears of someone in pain, that listens and responds with understanding and care. It's the body that stands beside a friend during their most difficult moments, providing support not just in words, but in presence. And it's the body that shows up day after day to contribute to society, to work, to build, and to create. The soul may guide these actions, but it is the body that carries them out. We are often told that the soul is the true essence of a person, the eternal part of us that continues after death. But Rabbi Friedman challenges us to reconsider the role of the body in this equation. He points out that in our daily lives, it is the body that takes on most of the burden of doing good. 90% is the body. So if the Bible speaks of reward, who should receive it?
Kindness and just being friendly. And I think that doesn't diminish competition.
Right.
Like, you can be friendly and kind to people that you're competing with as hard as you can.
The body is not simply a vessel for the soul, it is an active participant in life's journey. It is through the body that we experience the world, engage with others, and make a tangible impact. Without the body, the soul would be limited in its ability to serve, to love, and to give. And so, Rabbi Friedman's argument is that the reward, the ultimate recognition, should go to the body. The body should live on. It is the body that has endured hardship, that has overcome challenges, that has shown kindness in the face of cruelty. It is the body that has worked tirelessly to make the world a better place. To ignore the body in favor of the soul alone would be to overlook the immense contribution the body has made to the good that exists in the world. Rabbi calls on us to stop living with the belief that life is temporary and death is inevitable. He urges us to embrace the idea that life is eternal and that the reward for a life well lived is meant not just for the soul, but for the body as well. Death is not the end, but a pause, an opportunity for rest. Rabbi Friedman speaks passionately about the crisis of identity he sees unfolding in today's world. He describes it as a pandemic, a widespread confusion about who we are, and a growing detachment from the body, the very essence of our being. This detachment is tragic, and it is manifested in various ways, including the increasing normalization of same-gender relationships.
Thailand is the first Asian country to pass the same-sex marriage legislations. At the moment, the Thai people, the international organizations also congratulates on the passing of the bill.
And a broader confusion about roles and responsibilities in life. He believes that this leads to deeper issues, ones that will ultimately affect the fabric of society. He emphasizes the importance of recognizing and respecting separation, both in terms of gender roles and human identity. Separation, in his view, is not a form of division or oppression, but rather a natural and healthy distinction that allows people to grow into their true roles.
A man is a man and a woman is a woman, and it's absolutely crazy to doubt that or to erase that border that Mother Nature obviously put there.
He argues that imposing roles on people, as though it were some kind of dictatorship, is not the answer. Instead, he advocates for allowing individuals to be nurtured by nature, to discover their roles organically, without interference. Don't interfere with nature, he warned. Humans have interfaced with nature far too much, and it is messing us up. He is particularly concerned with the societal consequences of blurring the lines between roles like motherhood and fatherhood. In his view, not everyone can or should become a mother or a father at a certain point. Don't force responsibility on them. These roles, according to Rabbi Friedman, carry a natural weight and responsibility that must be honored. When society begins to undermine these distinctions, it affects not only individual families, but the broader social structure as well. Rabbi Friedman's message is not about limiting personal freedoms or forcing people into roles they do not wish to occupy. Rather, it is about encouraging a deeper respect for the natural order and the roles that emerge from it. He argues that when humans interfere too much with these natural processes, we create confusion and instability, both within individuals and in society as a whole. The solution, as he sees it, lies in stepping back and allowing nature to nurture and guide people toward their true identities without external imposition or pressure. He reminds us that God is meant to dwell with us here on earth. This world was not created for darkness, chaos, or suffering, but rather as a place where God's presence should shine through. The task given to humanity was clear from the beginning: to clean up the world, to make it a fitting home for divine light. However, as Rabbi Friedman explains, the first human gave up when darkness continued to emerge, seemingly overpowering the good. Yet this was a mistake, and it's one we must learn from. Darkness is not a force of its own. It is merely the absence of light. It is a void, a space where light has not yet reached. The solution to darkness is not to fear it, but to bring more light into the world. Just as one small candle can illuminate an entire room, so too can even the smallest act of goodness dispel overwhelming darkness. It is not the darkness we should focus on, but the light we can create.
A little bit of light dispels a lot of darkness. It's dark, you'll find your way out. You'll stumble a little bit, you'll trip on a few things, but you'll make it to the light switch and you'll turn the light on.
He goes further, urging us not to relent in our efforts to bring light into this world, even in the face of the darkest moments in history, such as the Holocaust. As unimaginable as it is, Rabbi Friedman reminds us that even the memory of such horror can be transformed through acts of goodness. The Holocaust is a symbol of the deepest evil humanity can encounter, but Rabbi Friedman's point is clear that good is more powerful than evil. If darkness is only the absence of light, then no amount of evil can ever extinguish the power of goodness. It may be challenging, but it's not impossible to clean up even the worst tragedies. He calls on each of us to become sources of light, to continue the work of making the world a place where God can dwell among us. And now Rabbi Manis has told us what would become of the world, the great change that awaits the world, something we didn't expect would happen given the time and what the world is turning into. And guess what he calls it? Tiny micro mitzvahs.
Don't just watch it happen. Do something to make it happen. And what does it take to make it happen? A tiny micro mitzvah.
This is what will change the world entirely. He feels it deeply, that with realizing how the world works, what nature holds for us that we are yet to tap from, and we haven't even realized it yet, changing of our already settled perspective and clouded mind, and humans always looking forward to death. When all these is being done, tiny micro mitzvah will work for us and changed everything. These are the little moments of kindness, compassion, and goodness that, at first glance, may seem insignificant. Rabbi states that these small actions will bring the big change the world await. In his heart, he knows that these micro mitzvahs are laying the foundation for a monumental change, something huge, something that will transform the world in ways we cannot yet imagine. He sees it clearly that we are on the brink of something incredible. It's not the grand gestures or massive movements that will change the world, he insists, but rather the accumulation of these small, everyday acts of goodness. A kind word, a gentle hand, a simple prayer. These are the things that, when multiplied by millions of people across the globe, have the potential to ignite something far greater than any single person could achieve alone. Rabbi Friedman envisions a world where these tiny micro-mitzvahs spread like ripples in water, touching everyone and everything in their path. He believes that when we perform even the smallest mitzvah, it carries far more weight than we realize. It sends a signal, a vibration of goodness, into the universe, and this vibration connects with others. Together, they create a force so powerful that it can overcome any darkness, any division, any pain that exists in the world today. He speaks with emotion about how close we are to witnessing this change. He is certain of it, as though he can feel it in the air, waiting to unfold. It's not just wishful thinking or optimism. Rabbi Friedman feels this coming transformation in his soul. He knows that all the small acts of goodness being performed every day, in every corner of the world, are adding up to something massive, something we may not fully understand yet, but that is destined to change everything. What is most moving about Rabbi Friedman's message is that he places this immense responsibility in the hands of each and every one of us. It's not the world leaders, or the celebrities, or the influencers who will bring about this transformation. It's us, doing ordinary things, with extraordinary love and intention. He said we should never underestimate the power of our small actions.
There will be only one person in the world who influences everyone in the world towards goodness, but on a smaller scale.
Because they are the seeds from which this grand, global change will grow. When Rabbi Friedman speaks about the future, he doesn't just see it as something distant. He sees it as something that is already happening, right now, through the tiny micro-mitzvahs we do every day. And as these small acts of goodness continue to multiply, they will lead to the embrace of something so big, so beautiful, that it will change the world in ways we've only dreamed of. This, he believes, is the true power of goodness, something tiny that can spark something unimaginably vast. He reminded us that when the internet first emerged, people feared its impact. Fast forward to today, and the internet has revolutionized how we connect. Everything is online, people are communicating, expressing themselves, which has helped us collectively. He said the world is just getting started. We'll unlock new possibilities, innovations, and opportunities. We cannot deny the profound impact Rabbi Manar Friedman's teachings have had on countless individuals around the world. His insights provide a sense of clarity, purpose, and hope that resonate deeply in a time when many are searching for direction. He has helped people understand and connect with their spiritual sides, taught valuable lessons on relationships, marriage, and family, shared ancient wisdom from the Torah, and made it relevant to modern life, and has brought people together, fostering understanding and cooperation among different faiths and communities. Rabbi Friedman's approach is not just intellectual or philosophical, it's deeply human, touching on the core of what it means to live a meaningful life. His messages about identity, nature, and the roles we play in life offer a fresh perspective in a world that often seems confused about who we are and what we are meant to do. His belief in allowing individuals to naturally discover their roles rather than imposing societal or external expectations. A compassionate and balanced approach to understanding ourselves and others. His teachings invite us to respect the natural order of life. We shouldn't pressure ourselves, and all these would foster a sense of peace and purpose that is often lost in the fast-paced, high-pressure world we live in. Rabbi Friedman's insights on life, death, and the nature of existence.
Life makes no demands. It's what you do, what you bring to the world by your existence. So, for example, fire has a life. It brings warmth, creates light. Water has a life.
Also challenge many of the prevailing thoughts about mortality. His teachings are something to pay attention to, not just as religious or philosophical musings, but as practical, life-changing wisdom. They provide a roadmap for living a more meaningful and fulfilling life, urging us to bring more light into the world, nurture ourselves and others, and recognize the power of even the smallest actions. In a world often overshadowed by darkness, his message is a call to bring more light, to see the good, and to believe that positive change is not only possible, but already in motion. His teachings remind us that there is so much more potential in life than we often realize. Whether it's through acts of kindness, embracing our natural roles, or understanding the deeper meaning of existence, Rabbi Manar Friedman offers guidance that is not only insightful, but essential in today's world. What are your thoughts on Rabbi Friedman's messages? Drop it in the comments section below. If you enjoyed watching this video, make sure to like, share, and subscribe to our channel for more. Also, click on the next video shown on your screen. You will enjoy it.